Hey guys, welcome to She Knows Arsenal. Make sure you guys like this video and subscribe to the channel. This is your live player ratings for Arsenal 2, Brighton 0. Let me just get my life together, you guys. Like something is not right as usual. But you guys get in the chat and let me know what you guys are thinking and feeling. I just need one moment to get my life all the way together. I'm not liking the way the picture is like flicking and stuff. So give me one sec. Let's do this. Oh, that's what it was. It was my TV was doing it. Anyways, you guys, we're live now. We're live now. So welcome to your live player ratings for Arsenal 2, Brighton 0. We finally defeated the hoodoo of playing Brighton at home. Had we had lost to them today, we would have lost to them 3 times on the bounce at home. And so that would not have been good reading for Gooners. I'm excited about this result, you guys. You guys know I've been saying for this past week that everybody was kind of like jumping over Brighton and talking about Liverpool. This game was so important because, I mean, you have to win every single game, but it's one of those that's before a big match, and you can't not look at this one because it wasn't smooth. Was it smooth sailing? Brighton are an awkward opponent. They're an awkward opponent because they give chances away, but they're also really dangerous on the other end. And I think we're the first team this season to keep a clean sheet against them. So I could be wrong, but I think that I read that Brighton have scored in every single game this season. They've also conceded in every single game, but that also speaks to, you know, our defense and all that kind of stuff. We may have gotten away with it a little bit with the Pascal Gross, but who really cares because they got away with it. We were totally dominant in that game. Like Brighton barely got a touch. Like they probably won't even be able to remember what they did in that game because they did not touch the ball. They did, but they actually had more possession, but they didn't do anything with it. So, I mean, Arsenal had 26 shots, 9 on target. Possession was pretty even. The passes were pretty even. Pass accuracy was even. Even the fouls, we had 11, they had 9. Like the story of the game is Arsenal were very, very dominant. And I'll be really honest with you guys. Like, I wish like now that we won the game, I can go back and watch the football and like actually enjoy it. But during the game, all I can think of was like, this is the most that we've looked like Arsenal of last season in terms of like the combination play, the movement, the fluidity, the dominance, all that kind of stuff. A lot of what we did today reminded me of Arsenal of last season. The passing was crisp. We were being creative. We were recycling a lot quicker. We were playing quicker. Declan Rice's switches of play were really good. Odegaard was really involved. Even Kai Havertz was doing some of the stuff that Xhaka used to do last season where he had like his back to goal, receive it, and just play it out to Martinelli. A lot of the things that I saw today reminded me of Arsenal of last season. The one thing that didn't remind me of Arsenal of last season was the finishing. And even last season, Arsenal were not like the best finishers. Today, we were, if we're honest, we were kind of diabolical from a finishing perspective because of how many chances we created, because of how good the football was, because of how many times we cut them open. And so before Gabriel Jesus scores a goal on a set piece, which is so funny because we could have scored so many goals from open play, but we didn't. Before that, it looked like it could have been one of those games where you win or you win on XG, but you don't win the game, right? Kind of like Aston Villa, kind of like Arsenal women yesterday, where you're completely dominant, but they come down one time and score, and then you can't do anything. That's how it felt before Gabriel Jesus scored his goal, right? And so, yeah, once Gabriel Jesus scored that goal on the set piece, I was like, yeah, we're going to win this game because I don't think that they're going to score. I think that we'll shut up shop and do our thing and maybe hit them on the counter. And that's exactly what we did. And Nketiah's pass into Kai Havertz was perfect. And Kai Havertz, finally, a moment of calm and composure in front of the goal. I mean, he's playing really well. I thought he played really well today, but he got the goal that he needed to get, and that shut the game completely down. So yeah, it's a weird performance because we were totally dominant and it was pretty easy, but it took us a while to get our finishing boots. And I don't even think we really got our finishing boots on. I think we scored on the set piece and then we still dominated and then we finally got a goal on transition. But there was a lot to like. There was a lot to like in the performance, and the biggest thing to like is obviously the fact that we won that. You know, we won the game. That's the most important thing. So let me see what you guys are saying. Um, John P says should have been 4 or 5. Exactly. Tony says we should buy Dunk as center back cover. Maybe a couple of seasons ago, I would have been like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense for us. He's fantastic and he has a lot of experience, but you know, I'd rather us go out and get somebody that's physically capable to sit at the halfway line. I don't think that Dunk is terrible in terms of like his athleticism, but I think if you sat him up at the halfway line enough times and tested him in behind, he would get caught out, right? So for me, he's always been a really solid, like probably underrated center back in the Premier League. But you guys know what my choice is. If we're gonna go get a backup center back, you better go ahead and call Sporting and get Diamande. Okay. Don Arsenal says Ben White needs replacing. I didn't really get that from this game, to be honest. Did you guys expect Matoma and them not to go past him not one time? You know, like I don't know. I don't know if he needs replacing. I actually thought Ben White looked a lot more like himself today than he had looked in previous matches, right? Here to there says protect the Emirates, good win, solid win. Blaze said, I don't think there was a stressful in this game. We totally dominated Brighton today. It wasn't, there was no stress really. Like it was the only thing that was stressful was when are we going to get the goal? Because especially after Aston Villa, the way that that game went, I think what we wanted to see was like 2 goals early, put the game away, you know, show that we have our like we can finish. I don't really think we actually showed that today. I think we showed that we do still have an issue with finishing off easier chances and putting teams away. But in terms of like the general gameplay, there was nothing to be stressed out about. I didn't feel like Brighton were a threat on the other end. I thought Declan Rice and Saliba and Gabrielle completely shut the light out on them. They didn't get any joy whatsoever, except for the one chance that Pascal Gross got that he could have scored, really. But, you know, when you play that game and we had 9, 10 chances and they had one, the likelihood is we're going to win the game, right? So I agree that it wasn't necessarily stressful. The only thing that was stressful was, are we going to get the goal, or is this going to be another one of those games where we dominate but we don't get the points because we didn't put our chances away? Carl says it was a boring game. We only started in the 73rd minute. I mean, if you were watching without, you know, your eyeballs, you would think that that game was boring. I mean, first of all, our games don't need a lot of fun in them. They don't need a lot of entertainment in them. I think we're too desperate to be like the most exciting team. Our games should be mostly like that. 2-0 at home, relatively like unfazed at all. Like we don't need a lot of entertainment or a lot of excitement. And I don't think we started to play in the 73rd minute. I think it's disingenuous to say that we just started playing in the 73rd minute when we had 3 shots on goal in the first half and we had a lot of chances. So, yeah, no, we didn't just start playing in the 73rd minute in my opinion. I think we just didn't put our chances away. And so, yeah, not sure. So I feel like sometimes we watch with negative colored glasses. I don't know what the negative color is. Maybe the negative color is, I don't know, but I think sometimes people watch the games and their agendas creep in. We were just like, really? Our last like 4 games have all been kind of like the same thing, totally dominant, creating chances for fun, but you know, we just don't put our chances away, or you know, we make it difficult because we have individual errors. The story of today's game was not that Arsenal just started playing in the 73rd minute. Like, I actually enjoyed a lot of the football before that. We just didn't have our finishing boots on. DJ Polar says 10 out of 10 for Martinelli for that nutmeg alone. AFC Max says, I watched your player ratings after a 6-0 Lons game, and you look like a proud mom. So, proud mom today. Odegaard, man of the match, had a few stressful moments. Yeah, I I do. I feel I feel happy about the result. You know, I do. But when we played against Lons, we were totally like, you know, we were brutal with our finishing. Um, we scored in like early on in that game and we just kept scoring. So is this another like proud mom moment? No, not really. Like I wish we would have finished off our chances a little bit earlier. But the football that we played, I thought when you go back and watch it without the stress of like, when are we going to score the first goal? Was sensational. Some of the stuff that we were doing really reminded me of last season, where remember how we felt like a couple of weeks ago, maybe not a couple of weeks ago, but maybe a month ago, like the football was gone. the football is definitely there, especially when teams don't sit back in a low block. We look like ourselves. It's just you got to put your chances away. Yeah. For me, I thought Odegaard was really good. I feel like some people are saying that he was really poor. Again, I don't know what game people are watching. Odegaard was actually really good, and he put chances on a plate for other players. I thought Martinelli was better today, but still wasteful. Saka, good today, wasteful. Gabriel Jesus, good today, but not enough of a striker on the day. That's kind of like my overall summary of what happened up front, you know? Let's see. And I thought Martinelli actually got a lot better once we scored the goal. Martinelli pre our goal was a little bit of like, okay, I need you to get by your man. It was almost like it gave him like a little bit of energy or something, and he started going by his man. Some of the balls that he was putting into the box were actually really dangerous. And I feel like if you have a different type of striker, when that one ball that he puts across the 6 yard, somebody is crashing the box. Like some of our players just don't have that natural instinct to be where they need to be in the box. Sometimes we don't make back post runs. Sometimes we don't make the run across the keeper. We don't make the simple runs. So when Martinelli puts that ball across the six, it goes to no one. It really does. And so that's frustrating. But again, I think Martinelli was good. Like after we scored the goal, I think he went up a level for some reason. I don't know if it was just like, okay, now we can just kind of play our game. Maybe everybody's shoulders went down a little bit. That stress went away. But yeah, I thought like whenever Gabriel Jesus scored that goal, from then on, I thought Martinelli was really good, to be honest. John D says Odegaard was good, not great. Jess is not a mom; she's a hot older sister. What's wrong with you? You guys are sometimes you guys say stuff in the comments, and I'm like, why did I put this up? Empty Agency says Martinelli created tap ins. I agree with that. Boy says didn't Martinelli score 2 games ago? Troy says, "Glory, glory, Man United as Reds go marching on. I am Man United fan for 90 plus minutes against Liverpool tonight. Of course, I know in the next 15 minutes or so, you guys will probably go ahead and go start watching that game, which is totally fair. But there's 250 of you guys in here, so before you guys go and watch the game, please make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel and come back. But I thought again, I thought Martinelli was good. Like towards the back end of the game. You know what I mean? Saka was his usual self. Odegaard was doing the things that we want him to be doing. And I thought Kai Havertz had a quiet good game. And you know who was really good today? You know who was really good today? Declan Rice. Declan Rice was very, very good today, I thought. He had one of his Declan Rice games where he was everywhere. He did everything. And he's so, I mean, if he can just get that final little, like, finishing clinical in the box, it's done. It's done. He was really good, I thought. Um, but yeah, Hugo like said, or no, not Hugo. Kevin said important 3 points, but we need to take our chances for fuck's sake. Exactly. That's really what it is, right? And the thing is you can't ignore it. Like you guys know, I'm not going to ignore it, even though the 3 points, clean sheet, all that kind of stuff. That's fantastic. Like that's all that really matters in the end of the day. But we all know that these things tend to catch up with you. So if we're not clinical at home against Brighton when we're totally dominant, when we go away to Anfield, do we actually expect us to put our chances away? So that's kind of the conversations that we always have. You know what I mean? Troy says Declan Rice is a player of the season so far. I agree. Jane says stoke it up, United. when they inevitably get thrashed, it's going to be so devastating. Social Join says the difference in this game from last season is Rice and Raya complete tactical shift negates teams like Brighton. Arsenal adventure says same as Villa, dominate and not take chances. We need to do better. Get the Lons clinicality back. I agree. So yeah, it's one of those where you just kind of sit there and feel like, yeah, I feel good about the 3 points. Yeah, I feel good that we got the clean sheet. Yeah, we played good football. But the next step for this Arsenal team is being more clinical. And maybe we're learning. This is probably a conversation for another day, but I've been thinking that maybe we have players up front that will inevitably be players that are not as clinical as we need them to be. I think Gabriel Jesus is somebody that stands out to be somebody that I think a lot of us, we understand what his role is and what he brings, and what he brings is super important. But he's never going to give us the clinical finishing that we probably need at the top level. And so that's probably why Arsenal will go out there and buy a striker, in the next two windows, because at the end of the day, like when you get those chances, you have to put them away. You have to be more dangerous. You have to make the runs. You have to be in the box, in the right position. So it was more, it's him, and then, are Martinelli and Saka going to be able to score enough? Like, if you get a more clinical striker, they actually don't have to score as much. And I think both of them are actually really good creators. So that's a conversation from another day. But man, I really enjoyed, the actual football that we played. I just wish we had been more clinical. Um, Laughing Man says, great win. Rice and Odegaard outstanding. Frustrating. Arteta makes subs so late. Brighton made 5 subs before we made 1. I think the problem with the subs conversation today is, who do we have on the bench? Like, who do we have on the bench? I wish we could have made the Tommy sub, but we couldn't make the Tommy sub because he's not there. Jorginho wasn't there either, so there wasn't really a lot on the bench to bring on. And so, for me, it was kind of like these players had been rested pretty much midweek anyway, because we didn't have to play a game that was like consequential to our European, campaign. Brighton did, so I think it was fine for them to play like a lot longer than maybe they would have, should we had had better players on the bench and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So I actually didn't have an issue with the subs so much. But maybe I'll go back and watch and feel differently. And also, I'm okay. I'm really annoyed that they gave Mikel Arteta that yellow card. Just because, like, side note, I just feel like Arteta shouldn't be getting yellow cards for, I don't know if Matoma gets that yellow card if Arteta doesn't make a fuss. I don't. And like when you give Ben White, when you don't give Milner that first yellow against Saka, and then you turn around and the first time Ben White does something, you give him a yellow, then you set the precedent that you're starting to set the precedent that if Arsenal touch players, then they get yellows. And when Brighton's do, I'm going to add context to it and kind of like give them another chance. And then when Matoma does the exact same thing, to one of our players, you look like you're hesitating to give him the yellow that you didn't hesitate to give Ben White, right? And so for Arteta to have to like show him like, hello, you have to give it. I felt like it was just petty for him to give Arteta the yellow. It was like, well, yeah, I'm going to give Matoma the yellow, but I'm definitely going to give you one too. Had Arteta not bitched, he wouldn't have got that yellow. That pissed me off. That pissed me off. So yeah, let's see. DJ Polar says, ref tried it today. I agree. Boy says, don't even talk about the Solanke link. It's not true or it's not real. Joseph says the shape of that mic is sus. The only thing sus is you thinking about something that you shouldn't be thinking about at this hour. Like, I'm so serious, but like there's nothing wrong with the shape of this mic. The only thing that's wrong is what's going on up here, my friend. Hugo says refs aren't hiding their agenda anymore after Arteta's lawyers cooking them. I agree. Yaya says they aren't anti-Arteta. They will punish him however they want after that charge against him was tossed out. I agree with that. And Andrew said our right flank should only be White and Saka. They caused Brighton fits, and I think White allows Saka to be more versatile. I agree. I think obviously our best right-hand side is Ben White and Saka, and until something else happens, that's the best that we have. You know what I mean? So for me, like I thought Ben White actually had a decent game. He's always going to get cooked by the better left wingers. He just is in wide areas. That's just not Ben's bag, it's just not. So I expected Matoma actually to get the best of him more than he did. He actually didn't get the best of him that often. But going forward, I thought Ben White was actually pretty good. Make sure you guys are subscribing to the channel. There's 320 of you guys in here, so make sure you guys are doing that for me. And we're gonna go ahead and hop into player ratings, and we're gonna blow through these because you guys, we got a game to watch. We have some. It's so bad because I hate watching United, but today I need to hear McTominay. I need to hear all that bullshit, all of it. Let's see. Let's start off with Raya. I think we can get into the nitty gritty about this one. Two really poor kickouts, I thought. One down the center and one just to like no man's land. They tried to chip him and he almost didn't get to the ball. Yeah, it was another one of those where he's short. So you're like, damn, they're really trying to like chip it over him, like for real, for real. And then a couple of moments on the ball where you kind of just thought, like, this is why we got you, is to be better on the ball. Now, was it that like somebody was supposed to be there or what? I don't know, but I just feel like my natural reaction to those two moments was like, kick it to us, kick it to us. He had one really good throw out that was really good. But I think ultimately, like Raya's positioning, being higher up the pitch, things like that. I don't know if we actually understand it as like football fans, like why he's so high up and this positioning and all that kind of stuff. But I get the feeling that that makes us more dominant, not having our goalkeeper so far back. It's something about his positioning and how high he is up and how he plays almost like a center back that helps us when we're building out from the back and allows us to recirculate like possession and pressure and all that type of shit. But you can't be getting chipped, bro. You cannot be getting chipped. Like that little cross should not have been like scary like that. So it's the reality of having a short ass goalkeeper that's probably just as tall as Odegaard. I saw a picture of them and I thought Odegaard is barely 5'10", barely 5'10", and you guys are like the same height. Like that is always going to be an issue. And when you're kicking out from the back, I need you to hit one of us. So I'm gonna give him. He got a clean sheet, but like yeah, uh, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna give him 6.5. Like I just felt like the two moments that I wanted him to be a lot better, he wasn't good enough for me. And I don't know if I can be mad that you almost got chipped, but I feel like I'm mad because you almost got chipped. So I don't know. But clean sheet, whatever, job done, you know, whatever. I thought Saliba and Gabrielle were really good today. Passing was good, shutting out the light was good, defending was good. Everything was good. Good, 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 good. From the two of them. I mean, what else do you really say about the two of them? I mean, they make it really difficult for center forwards to get any change. In reality, has there been a center forward that's cooked us this season? I'm really trying to think. Has there been a center forward that's actually cooked one of our center backs like that? I don't think so. I think the only center forward that I feel like Saliba had a little bit of a trouble with was maybe Eli Wahi, but like we were out way and like the side, like on the sideline out there, like not central, and maybe Adebayo from Luton, if we're being honest, like a little bit. But was Ferguson out there? Was he out there? I'm so serious. Like I thought he played today. So for me, when I'm not talking about their center forward, they don't get any shots. All they're doing is going backwards. I think our center backs had a good day, and they're a big reason in conjunction with Declan Rice why we're so good. So I'm gonna give the two of them 8 together. But I love their performance. Again, I felt like I was under no threat whatsoever. I was comfy and safe and all that kind of stuff. I didn't feel worried at all. So I'm gonna give that to the two of them, and I'll read what you guys think as well. Jordan Hill says 8 out of 10. Martin N says 8.5 for both of them. Andrew says I felt our midfield made their job easier. Listen, if you have Declan Rice in front of you, he's going to make your job a lot easier, right? So it's all, yeah, like I think sometimes Saliba and Gabrielle help our midfield and vice versa. So today wasn't a day where I felt like they were under so much threat because Declan Rice was doing a lot, but the things that they had to do, I thought they did really well. And so it's give and take. Sometimes it's them doing the heavy lifting and sometimes it's Declan Rice. Also, Havertz wins a lot of duels in there too and gets stuck in. So those things matter. Jagoon says Saliba and Gabrielle both 8th. DJ Bowler says Dude was trying to collect the ball on top of their box. He was playing DM today. He was very high, very, very high. Jordan Davis says this is a must-win game, and I love the energy Arteta pumped into the players. Even though our finishing was poor, we looked bloodthirsty and treated Brighton like they were our prey. I agree. Yeah, like people are saying, like Matoma was quiet. So this whole like Ben White needs to be replaced. I'm trying to figure out where that's coming from, or is it just the one time that they got beyond him? I feel like that's a little bit like, come on, like let's be serious. Okay. So Ben White, not as good as Saliba and Gabrielle, but looked a lot better than he had been looking in previous matches. Like Ben White, I don't know if it was the peroxide. It was like ever since he got the peroxide, it was like his performances started going down. The peroxide games weren't good. And then the black hair wasn't good. And then he cut it off and it wasn't good. Today was the first time that I felt like in a while he kind of looked like himself. Still got cooked once, but nevertheless, even Zinchenko, I think he got nutmegged on that side. So, I mean, when you play against good players, sometimes other players get to be good. Sometimes other players get to be good, but we didn't see a lot from Matoma. So do not sit here and try to tell me that Matoma had like this great game and he was doing all these things to Ben White. And oh my God, Ben White, la, 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 la. He didn't do anything. He really didn't. Ben White, I'm going to give you a 7.5. Welcome back, buddy. Just in time for Anfield. Just in time for Anfield. We needed you to look like yourself, okay? Martin N says 8 out of 10 for Ben. Arnolito says he was on a yellow and maybe carrying something. I'm going to give him a pass today. I mean, he was on a yellow early. So once you get that yellow early, it's kind of like you're playing a game of chess. You're like, do I do this? Do I not? Oh, Saliba also had a really good tackle. Do you guys remember that? That just floated into my head when I think Matoma was running after it and like Saliba did that little slide tackle. It was great. I liked it. Andrew says White only got cooked after the 85th minute. Martin N says if they only have one shot the whole game, the whole defense should get at least an 8. Fair enough, I'll give him a little bit higher then. I'll give him a little bit higher since you guys are pressuring me. So let's just say Saliba and Gabriel will give him like an 8.5, and we'll give Ben White an 8. Okay, is that better? is that better? Okay, so next let's go with Zinchenko. Again, he got nutmegged one time. I saw it and I was like, ooh. But that shit happens because sometimes good players get to cook you. Other than that, Zinchenko was fine. He had one little moment around the 60th minute, I think, where I was like, this is the time that you want to make the Tamiyasu sub because his brain just went foggy. I don't know what it is about that 60th minute. That brain goes foggy, and it's almost like he doesn't remember where he is. He had one of those moments today. But beyond that, I thought he was really good in possession, like he always is. He was really sharp in his passing. He did a lot of good things in buildup. I think when him and Odegaard are playing really well, we just look like a completely different team. And when your midfield is basically Zinchenko, Rice, and Odegaard, you're cooking. You really are. So I thought Zinchenko was good today. I'm going to give him kind of like a similar. I'm just going to give him an 8. Fuck it. Like you guys said, everybody in the back line gets an 8. Listen. And I saw somebody tweet something like, oh, Zinchenko had another game where he does a lot of nothing, but it convinces us that he's doing a lot. I really need people to stop being disingenuous about Zinchenko. I think the honest conversation about Zinchenko is, does what he offers on the ball make up for the inevitability that he's going to get cooked on the other end or make a mistake because he lacks concentration or whatever? But this idea that he does nothing for us is an absolute fallacy. He has very similar progressive stats, like progressive passing stats as Enzo. And I know that like Enzo Fernandez is not, he's not shining right now in a Chelsea shirt, but one thing you can't take away from him is his passing ability. And so if you have one of the best passers in Europe doing numbers similar to our left back, be serious for 5 seconds. Zinchenko is fantastic. And no, he's not Trent Alexander-Arnold levels, and that's not what we're talking about. But to pretend as though what he offers is like of no value whatsoever and he's doing a lot of nothing, I think just shows like the inability to look beyond an agenda and just have an honest conversation about Zinchenko. We do need to limit our reliance on him. As much as I love him, I don't want him to be our only option. And our Arsenal, they tried to deal with it. They tried to get Timber in, and we didn't have the luck that we needed. So Zinchenko for me is just a player that I feel like people are very dishonest about because they just want somebody else there. When I see people start talking about Tierney should be in this team, I completely switch off from the conversation. Completely switch off. Completely. Tierney is just another like one of those, like, I love Tierney, but he's just a likable guy. If you don't like fullbacks that get cooked, then you definitely don't like Kieran Tierney, because I remember many a time where the homie got cooked by Mahrez and Sterling and this stuff too. So listen, we know what the deal is with Zinchenko. We don't need to talk about it over and over and over again. Great player, good at what he does, definitely has some flaws, but on most days, it won't hurt us. It won't hurt us, right? Jordan Davis says people pick on Zinni because it's trendy. It makes me sick. Brett says he's essential to our forward movement. 7. Arnolito says they trip him. I agree. Martin N says 8.5 for Zinni. He was so good going forward. Andrew said if Timber's in the squad, does Zinchenko move into midfield? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the plan is with. Oh, let me turn on this game, child. Let me turn on this game. But I don't know what the plan is for Zinchenko post, left back, because if you bring in, like, they're saying that they want to bring in this Hato guy. They want to bring in this Hato guy. You already have Tomiyasu, you have Kivior as well. So there has to be some sort of succession plan for Zinchenko to play a different role, because I think he's too good to just like get rid of. That's just me personally. I don't think I'm in a place where I want like Jesus and Zinchenko gone. You know what I mean? So I have the game on over here. So if you guys see me looking on this side, that's because I'm watching the game. But we're just gonna fly through these. We're gonna try to get done as soon as possible so you guys can watch the game. And y'all don't want to hear me talk for hours and hours. I know you guys don't. So let's go into the main players, I think, for today. Odegaard, another really good game for my guy, the guy that I will go to bat. I will fight you over this boy. I really will. But I will tell you, I will be honest, when I feel like he's not doing everything to the best of his ability. I think his best role is when he's arriving in the box and one touch finishes. I think when he has to think too much about the finishing, that's when he does what he did today. He had several opportunities today where I thought he should have taken the shot a lot earlier and he didn't. That being said, from a playmaking perspective, the guy was on smoke today. One of those passes that he put in for Saka, that should have been a goal. I think Martinelli should do better there. Oh my God, oh my God, they put Amrabat at left back. They put Amrabat at left back. No, no, they didn't. No, they didn't. Okay, that scared me. I was like, "Oh my God, they're gonna lose for real, like by a lot of goals." Um, but I don't know. Maybe he is back there. I was shocked by that. Um, excuse me. Sorry, guys. Let's see. Brentford, Aston Villa. I'm looking for our XG real quick. Oh, Arsenal's XG today. You got listen. almost 2.5 XG to 0.79. So we cooked them, and a lot of that had to do with Odegaard. And again, he's back to the Odegaard that we know. I think it's been about 4 or 5 games now where he's played really well. Still some things to work on, like he needs to be a lot more ruthless in the box like he was last season. But listen, when you put the ball on a plate to several players, you have to, they have to do better. And so I thought he was really good on the day. I'm gonna give Odegaard. I'm gonna give him, like, I don't know, maybe a 9 is too high, but you guys, I don't care. I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna give him what I want to give him. Okay. Samuel says, "Fun fact: Havertz has more goals than all Man United strikers combined." That's not surprising. That's not surprising at all. Ron says Kai scores again just to continue peeing off Ebenezer Gunner. Martin N said he was unlucky not to score. And if you play like that, like every single game, eventually the goal will come. I think it was unrealistic to expect everything that he, last season, everything he touched went in the back of the net. And so this season, I think it's going a little bit more to the mean. I think he's missing more chances than he did last season, obviously. But there are times where I just feel like a really confident Odegaard just kind of hits it first time. And I think he's overthinking sometimes. But, that's kind of, that's kind of what it is. Sometimes that happens. Jason says, yeah, he was a 9. So yeah, we all kind of agree. Anton Dunn says Odegaard annoys the crap out of me. Well, get used to it, because he ain't going nowhere. I think the more people try to tell me that he needs to move on or go away or blah blah blah, he ain't going nowhere, y'all. I'll be so freaking for real. So enjoy being annoyed. Johnny D says United have less chances to get something on Anfield than Brighton did on the Emirates, according to the bookies. So wouldn't get my hopes up. Keep hope alive, you guys. I need them to rise. I need them to rise. So let's go next to the next player here. Let's go to Kai Havertz. I think another quietly good game for him. He wasn't like on the ball as much, but I thought some of the link up play that he did was really good. I thought some of the runs that he made where he wasn't found, he was good. And then he scores the goal that ultimately just ends the game altogether. And the thing about Kai Havertz that I'm really starting to enjoy is how calm and composed he is in the box. I think some of our players make a meal out of very simple chances in the box. And I think he's somebody that just kind of like, he gets it, just slot it past the goalkeeper, just head it in the back of the net, just get your toe on it. He's doing those things. And so what we needed from him was consistent goal scoring. We're getting a lot of good things off the ball from him. He's also creating chances for his teammates, and they should do a lot better with them. But yeah, I think another quietly good game for Mr. Kai Havertz. I'm going to give him I'm gonna give him an 8.5. I thought he was really good today again. And so this is the midfield for me, and I'm glad that he didn't get that yellow card or else he would have been suspended for the Anfield game. So I think that's the midfield that you go with. Johnny D says if he annoys the crap out of you, he's not a 9, he's an 8.5 at best. Leo says Havertz made key interceptions, won headers, high pass accuracy, and scored, so he gets an 8. Martin N says 9 for Kai. He definitely growing into the left center mid role. Besides the goal, he has won a lot of his duels. Johnny D says Havertz 7.5 for the goal. Trini says King Kai needs to score that header. There was a chance, you're right, that he should probably put that in the back of the net. He's a really good header of the ball. So, I think a lot of our players were kind of snatching at it before we scored. Jesus scored. Um, UD, the gunner, says Odie's definitely coming back to last season levels since that concussion. Sometimes you just need to get hit in the head and reset. Oh, Onana. Oh, God. The way he tripped over that ball, I was like, ooh, is he going to do the thing? Is he going to do the thing? I mean, and Onana, like little bobbly mess up wouldn't be that unwelcome. I mean, I would love to see it. I would love to see it. One of the best players on the pitch today, top 2 best players on the pitch for me today. Like I said earlier, once he gets that like clinical finishing thing, it's going to be really hard to stop this guy. He's so well rounded. I thought his switches of play were really good. Ball recoveries were nice. He just was the all arounder that we need, and he shows every single game that for me, like he was the perfect signing for us. He's just a fantastic player, and so for me, other than like Odegaard, I thought he was really, really good today, and unlucky not to get a goal. I thought so. Yeah. Uh, Declan, you get a 9. Uh, you, the gunner, says if Partey gets fit, do you start him or Kai at Anfield? I would. I don't think if he didn't play in this game, I don't think that you want to start him against Liverpool and Anfield. I think you want to use him as like kind of how we used him against Manchester City and like to either shore things up or give us a little bit of something, maybe different. Maybe if you like, I could see, if we get to the end of the game and we need a goal or something like that, taking Jesus off, pushing Kai Havertz at center forward, and then bringing in Thomas Partey and playing Declan Rice at the 8. I can see those things happening. Score. Bum. Okay, so this is the time that you don't score Garnacho, you freaking loser. Okay, so yeah, like I could see it, but I wouldn't start Partey just because we know how he is when he comes back off an injury. He's not necessarily somebody that you want in your midfield against one of the best sides in the league. I just don't think it's the right thing. Jason says all day 9 for Rice. Johnny D says Rice 9 out of 10, man of the match, easy. Anton Dunn says, whenever he touches the ball, I breathe a little bit easier. Imagine him and Partey. Andrew says 9. So, yeah, I think we all kind of agree on that for sure. I think we all kind of agree on that for sure. Let's talk about probably the people that weren't on their best. They weren't their best today. Love them. But, I mean, listen, let's start with Gabriel Jesus because he actually finished one of his chances. I thought before he scored the goal on the set piece, I felt as though he was not taking the right shots. I thought he was taking bad shots and then also wasn't making the right runs. I just feel like sometimes he forgets what his main job is, right? And I get that because you have so many different roles, but sometimes I just want you to make a run across the keeper. I just want to see you, take the shot before, you think to pass. Like just sometimes like that. And I don't think you'll ever get that from Gabriel Jesus because he's kind of, I think, settled in this idea that this is his role and it is what it is. But before he scores, I do think that I was becoming frustrated with, oh God, like we just needed a striker in there. We just needed somebody to put the chance away. I remember Saka put it across the 6. One of those chances that like a true number 9 would score because they would do everything they could to get the toe on that, a knee on that, anything on that, and he just kind of got swallowed up, and it didn't go in the back of the net. Like I don't know if he touched it or not, but he did score the goal that ends up being the winner anyway. So, I don't want to take too much away from him because I think he worked hard. I think he did really good holding the ball up. He looked sharp. He did all the things that we want from Gabriel Jesus, right? So, I don't want to hate on him or anything like that, but there's always going to be that does he score enough goals? Does he do this? Does he do that? And he doesn't. And so that's why Arsenal are gonna get a striker. But on today, I thought he was like an 8.5. Um, I thought he did a lot of good work. But again, I want you to make runs to the near post. I want you to, slide in and try to get that chance. I just, we're just at that time where we know what needs to happen. Asher Dooley says, "Yeah, I'm surprised to see him in your man of the match poll." I mean, it was tough because I think it's been for me. I don't think either one of the goal scorers are man of the match. I thought the two best players on the pitch for Arsenal were Odegaard and Rice. So I just threw Jesus in there because he scored the first goal, and I thought he actually had a decent game. But it was a frustrating watch. I think before the goal. Johnny D says 8.5 out of 10, the man between Rice and Odegaard for me, my striker. Trini Gunner says Gabriel Jesus always struggles against low block teams. Troy says 8. So yeah, it's like somewhere between an 8 and an 8.5, I think, for Jesus, and not a bad game, but I think at this point we know who he is and we know it's not going to change. So it's up to Arsenal to, make that next step. I feel the same way. I feel the same way about Zinchenko as well. There's not much that I feel like he can change at this stage because he can't change things about him that are fundamentally who he is. So Arsenal just have to do the right thing. And they did it with Timber. They'll do it with Jesus, and that doesn't mean that he doesn't have any value or he shouldn't stay in the team and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, what if Saka and Martinelli's roles is easier if they have somebody that's more clinical? It takes the burden of having to score 20 goals a season off of them, who are players that, I think could get close to that, but we're not quite sure. So, it's something to consider. It's something to consider. But I love Gabriel Jesus, and I thought he had a good game. I just thought he was himself. Martinelli, I thought, again, before we scored the goal, I thought he struggled a little bit to get by his man. He was a little bit predictable. He's taking too long to take a shot, blah, 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 all the things. But this whole idea that he doesn't, get chances, he doesn't get in the box, Kai Havertz is stopping him from doing stuff is total bullshit, in my opinion. I don't think today you could blame Kai Havertz for Martinelli not getting any GA or not being near the box or in the box or anything like that. Like, fundamentally, Martinelli's not making good decisions in the box. And when he was making better decisions after we scored the goal, he was a lot more dangerous. He was unpredictable. Sometimes he went inside, sometimes he went outside. He was swapping the positions with Gabriel Jesus, which again, I don't think that Arteta's telling them to not move, not make runs, not be creative, not do this, not do that. I think they didn't have the confidence to do it at the beginning of the season because of whatever reason. So Martinelli can do it. He's not being told just to come inside. If that was the case, then he wouldn't have been going outside in this game. It's Martinelli's job to start figuring out ways to be better and more efficient in the box. And towards the end of the game, he became a lot better. But at the beginning of the game, I saw shades of the same Martinelli that we've seen this season that just hasn't really been good enough. Onana, he almost made another mistake. So I'm going to give him a 7. I thought that might be harsh. Actually, we'll give him a 7.5. I think, it was not a game of two halves, but, he was much better towards the end, but the beginning, he wasn't that great. So yeah, Samuel says Martinelli has done everything he can. Mesfin says Martinelli needs to step up. Dale says Martinelli 8. His corners are great, and he beat his man more often than recent matches. Towards the end, he definitely started beating his man. For sure. I agree. Anton Dunn says we need good backup wingers so they can take over for Martinelli and Saka when they're stinking up the place. Andrew says facts Martin. So Martin said something that was factual. Onana is so shaky. That's what you guys are talking about. So yeah, Martinelli, not a terrible game. Nobody was terrible. It was just those fine margins, and Saka as well, snatching at shots. I thought he created good chances. I thought he was dangerous. I thought he was reliable, helping Ben White. I thought he did a lot of really good things, but with his right foot, he snatched at like 3 shots, and you could tell that he was getting a little frustrated. You could just tell. So not his best, but also his worst is just not even bad. So I'm gonna give him like an 8. Like, I thought he was good. But you definitely need to stop snatching your chances. Blaze says why people criticize Martinelli more than Saka, because Saka has done more, I think. in his time at Arsenal, and so he's built up a lot more credit in the bank than Martinelli has, and so, um, Saka was very much so carrying us for a couple of seasons there. There was a season where Martinelli wasn't even there because he was injured, so I think we have to remember that it depends on how you think of things. Some people feel like you should be more harsh on the players that are better, and some people feel like you build up credit in the bank so you don't go in as hard on the players that have been there and done it for you. And so for me, it's just it's how you view it. For me personally, Saka's built up enough credit in the bank for me to give him time to get up to form or get his finishing together or whatever. Jason says Saka's a 9. Andrew says, I do think people are starting to call out his bad performances lately, though. They are, and they should. I mean, I don't think Saka is sitting around thinking that, oh my God, I cannot be criticized. Like, he criticizes himself, but ultimately, I still feel like he's so integral to what we do, and even when he's not scoring and not assisting, he's very dangerous for us. So I take all that into consideration, just like I do with Martinelli. I think Martinelli's he's not getting the GA that Saka gets even when he's playing poor, and that's the difference between the two of them. If Martinelli has to be on his best game to get any GA, then we're in trouble, because the best players, world-class players, they score and get assists and do that kind of stuff even when they're not in their top form. So that's kind of, I think the differences between Martinelli and Saka at this current moment. That doesn't mean that Martinelli can't get better. You guys know, I think Martinelli has all the tools to be a really, really top player. But, there's a difference. There's a difference. Anton Dunn says, I want a world where we can start other players than Saka and Martinelli. They will thrive more in that environment. Yeah, I kind of agree. Like, it would be nice to have another winger, but we have other important things to think about. I think striker is more important than that position right now. So we might just have to deal with having two really good wingers that we have to deal with their poorish runs of form. That's just kind of the game right now. Trini says Martinelli has been off pace this season, needs benching to wake up a bit. So yeah, they both weren't at their best, but what can you do? So listen, I think that's everybody that started. We had some cameos there. Ooh, Onana. We had some cameos there. Trossard was bright. Nelson came in. Who else came in? Kivior was okay. So I don't think we really need to go into those too much. But the podcast for Patreon will come out tomorrow. If you guys are patrons, so you guys will get the post match, and then Diluted and I are also going to do another show on Friday, like we did the other day. So there will be content, obviously, but again, make sure you guys are liking this video, subscribing to the channel, all that kind of stuff before you guys get out. I know you guys are going to go ahead and watch the game. I'm watching it right now, but like this video and subscribe to the channel on your way out. And Arteta gets a 10. We don't have to go over it. Like, let's be serious. Like, he got a 10. Like, he did everything that he could. But like this video, subscribe to the channel, all that kind of stuff, and enjoy the game. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.